thanks, Luis, for introducing this as a group discussion rather than a panel, because this is what it is going to be. So I am Mari-Liis Lind, co-founder and CEO of Vivita Creativity Accelerator for Children. I'm just gonna
pass on.
Yeah, pass on the bit.
Hi, I'm Ede Schank. I'm currently running a study platform called Nova, and I'm also a co-founder of Code.
I'm Karolin Kägi. I am the founder of Mastermind, and I am a 13-year-old innovator and entrepreneur.
And I am Grete. I am a full-time student at University of Tartu, and I am also one of the co-founders of a student company, Connect.
All right. Introducing this session a bit of what we will be talking about today is the session is going to be focusing on two parts. So first we'll be looking into how we can allow children and young people to gain meaningful real life experiences that will be useful for them in the future. And secondly, we will then discuss and ideate on how we can document these experiences so that they would also be actionable for these young people. And whether it's then for applying to the university or getting your first or second job, how can we really, make impact out of them? And so maybe I'll just. Yeah, cool. All right. So as I said, I'm the co-founder of Vivita, which is a creativity accelerator for children. And basically what we do, or what we've been doing for the last 4 years that we've been operating, is we've been creating a global movement that allows children to be part of, building the future, or be part of making decisions that will affect them in the future. So we're including them into the design of this future. So we allow supporting them in whatever activities they do where they want to innovate by themselves, be it embark on a startup entrepreneur's journey like Karolin is doing, but we're also including them into the designing future products and services. So essentially we work like an innovation consultancy that has children as the experts in the center of it. And thirdly, we're developing technology that allows children to then innovate more easily. And we're headquartered here in Estonia, and within the last 4 or 5 years, we've grown to a global movement. We're on 4 continents, in 12 locations, working with around 10,000 kids. So all of these kids, every single day, are gaining a lot of experiences that will be relevant to them, not just today, in their today's realities, but also in the future, because they're basically starting to build their professional portfolios at the age of 8. And maybe I'll just quickly run over a few examples of what we mean by this. So in one of our studios in Japan, in the city of Kobe, and Kobe is, known for the best beef, sorry, vegetarians here, but in addition, it's known to be the headquarters and home office of a big footwear brand, ASICS. I think a lot of you would know that. So Vivita's children, together with ASICS and 3D fashion startup Magarimono, were then redesigning the special sneaker for Kobe, the Kobe sneaker. So essentially what kids were doing in this project, they were the designers of a new shoe that would represent the city of Kobe. So for ASICS, kids were giving really good insights on what they would be wearing, what the future of fashion should be like. In Estonia, for example, just last year, we were working on a project with one of the largest museums here. So children were reinventing of what the museum experience should be like, and maybe Karolin will later on tell a bit about that experience. Then again, like in Estonia, we've been working with one of the largest supermarket brands in the Nordics, right, Prisma. And Prisma has always positioned themselves as the most family-friendly supermarket. But what actually makes a family-friendly supermarket experience? Again, they come to us with their client brief, and the children have reinvented of what the future, I don't know, shopping cart should be. In Japan, again, another little project is here's 9-year-old girl Mina, who was really interested in drones. And then we had a local drone startup mentor her on how to build a drone. And within this collaboration, actually, then Mina suggested that the way you're doing it is really complicated. And what they then together came up with is a simple DIY drone kit that now this company is using to do the tutorials of like how to actually make drones and how to assemble the drones. And so these are just 4 short examples of how kids can be included already to the works of both startups, corporates, public administration, etc. But the one question here is for us is like if they're doing these things, then how can we, really make some sense out of this for them in the future, so that it wouldn't be just an experience they're getting as children, but they could turn this into something, actionable when they, want to start a job somewhere or go to university. So enters Karolin. Karolin, maybe you want to talk a bit about, your journey and like you have a startup that you've started almost 5 years ago when you joined Vivita at the age of 8. Now you're 13, and your startup is Mastermind. Tell us a little about that.
So my startup is called Mastermind that I'm developing, and the goal of Mastermind is to teach from children to children about different science experiments and other activities. And by learning with the kids, they can become more curious and smarter and more confident. And the whole journey started from when I was 8 years old. Then at 8 years old, I discovered such a thing called slime, and I grew really fond of it, and I did hundreds of experiments with slime. And then I decided to start doing workshops for other children to teach them about slime. And then eventually I got the dream of doing my own slime kit. And then, but I didn't really know how to do it, because it seems really difficult for a small child to actually do her own slime kit, something so big. And then I was invited to the Vista television program. And then there I got a lot of advice and feedback from experts and mentors about building your own startup and giving advice on my idea. And then later on, I was invited to the Vista program, and there that was the point where I fully started to develop my whole startup and got to introduce my startup to other people. And now I am here still developing my mastermind.
So those of you who don't know, Vista is a TV show that teaches children about startup mindset. But now
you can still see it on Jupiter.
Yes, it's on Jupiter and the National Broadcasting Children's Program. Yeah. But Ede, you are a fellow education and innovation enthusiast. Maybe you tell what you do and
actually,
how this is relevant.
This TV appearance reminded me of how I first met Mari-Liis. So we actually started off as TV stars at the time. So back in the 1980s, I think.
I think 89,
there was a
90,
TV show called Muna. Can you raise your hand who has seen it? Wow. And I must say, I actually lost to Mari-Liis. But actually today I'm completely starstruck, because besides this Muna appearance, which was, well, for me it was quite short, you actually went on for a few times, right?
To the finals.
To the finals. Anyway, these guys here seem to be much more seasoned entrepreneurs than both of us combined.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But I actually wanted to start from the moment I met Grete the first time, which was also quite some time ago. It was actually in this very city in Tartu in 2017 when I started organizing Hyppelaut Summer School, which was sort of prototyping event for 14 to 19-year-old kids, and I'm not actually sure if you were already 14. You might have been even younger. So you might see Grete right in the middle on this big picture. So we had events at Maker Lab, which no longer exists, I think. And Grete was part of a team that was building some sort of a clothing app, right?
Yep.
You can soon say more things about that, but actually fast forward 6 years, we are still organizing this Hyppelaut. Every summer we see a group of very promising, extremely talented young people, many of whom are now working at Bolt, Wise, very big Estonian startups, or have started their own companies, just like Grete has. And besides that, I've also started this Nova platform, which is a self-study platform that will hopefully empower kids like you, Karolin and Grete, to study on your own, at your own pace, and get more stuff of what you're really interested in besides the stuff you have to learn at school. And actually, this brings me to this IT education conference. We just recently met on stage again with Grete, discussing AI in education. So Grete, maybe you want to give an overview how you got from this moment when you were building this clothing app to discussing AI.
You asked me to be there. There's no other explanation, really. But yeah, I think because it was year 2017, I was it 2017?
Yes, that was the
Oh,
first
then
year.
Then I was 15.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're legit.
And I remember I was not really happy to be there, because I remember the organizers were looking for girls to participate, and because, you know, my family and I was a girl from there, I was kind of half forced to go there. And yeah, this was my very first experience of prototyping and experiencing the company.
But then you came back 2 years later?
Yeah, I came back. And
you built a VR
we
chemistry
game,
class.
How do you remember those things? It's weird. Okay, yeah. Anyways, yeah, Ede is, has done a great deed of offering me those talks.
But what we're discussing here today is how, so what we've actually seen, and several surveys and studies actually support that, and actually tomorrow, anthropologists will introduce their latest research on how Estonian kids get hooked to STEAM topics.
So it's in one of the seminar rooms here at Startup Day at
12,
11 or 12, yeah, sometime.
But anyway, that also discusses how, or actually one of the findings of that research is that most of the stuff that kids actually enjoy doing happens outside of the classroom, which is, well, actually what we do. And we are really happy to see that, although actually the finding is quite sad in itself, because you spend most of your time at school, and well, I can't say that you don't study anything, but you don't really enjoy what you're doing there. And Grete, you have also, and Karolin as well, so you have done so much outside of the classroom, and the question is, how do we sort of keep track of those activities? How can you, for example, Grete, I know that you have, besides participating in Hyppelaut, you've also been an exchange student in South Korea, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's true.
You are both active, or have been active in dancing activities, done all sorts of volunteer work. So how do you keep track of this, and how do you present, if you need to present someplace that, you know, because you haven't been applying for jobs yet, but someday you might, or some internships. So how do you prove that you've completed all these things? Maybe Grete, you can start.
Well, I would say that as for me, I've never had to prove anyone that I'm capable of doing something. Just because once the snowball starts rolling, you will meet a lot of people, and they will know different parts of your experiences, and And as of today, that has always been enough. There have been weeks that I've been offered 4 or 5 jobs at a time, which really got me thinking last autumn whether I should be in school at all. But I am today, and I think that also says a thing or two about the educational system, especially about the teachers, because I have felt enormous support and they have helped me a lot, especially with my mentality. If not with the executive part, then with myself and how I manage myself and all that.
Grete, you mentioned a really important thing, like the word experience, is that you've been trying out a lot of stuff, and because of that, you get invited into more stuff that people have learned about your experiences. And then I think this makes me think of again, year 2017, World Economic Forum published their annual report where they said then, this was around the future of work, where they said, well, 65% of the jobs that will be held by the kids that go to the first grade that year are not invented yet. So we don't know what they'll be, so what they will need to learn. Karolin was then in the first grade while you were doing Nova. And then what we think really, it is a lot about, like, you cannot teach something, right? But what you can do is just give a lot of different experiences so that the young people are then prepared to, face different realities, understand different contexts, like able to, talk to different people and just, put together the puzzle pieces. So Karolin, can you maybe also, tell a bit about what your experience is in doing the design consultancy projects, or talking to the experts on the startup TV show, like that were advising you on building your startup, or talking to the inventors and scientists about it. What has this given to you, and how can you use this today on daily basis in your life?
From all of the advice and all the projects I have been in, definitely I have acquired some problem-solving abilities, some more critical problem-solving abilities about thinking if this would actually work in real life, and how it would work, and and also some communication skills. Because growing up, I was a really shy kid, but then for all the projects and all the advice from the experts and the discussions, I have really grown in the communication skills, so I know more about how to discuss things. And
But as to proving, again, coming back to this, proving all of these things that you've actually acquired. So we, Mari-Liis and I, actually decided that we will award both of you this to make your life easier, in case you might have to dig up some diplomas to prove what you have been actively
So first for
engaged in.
Grete.
Grete, you get your certificate. Thank you.
Your study badge.
Yours.
And then there's one for Karolin.
Yeah.
And what these study badges are, Ede, do you want to first tell us?
Yeah, that's actually something that we've been working on at Nova. So again, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine who's applying for Harvard University. And she's obviously a very, quite likely a successful candidate. And the world is full of very smart people who are quite likely all applying for Harvard and all the best universities. And the same applies to Tartu University as well. But then besides these excellent academic results, they will ask, I'm not sure if Estonian universities will ask, did they ask you, Grete?
I didn't go through the exam.
Okay, because you were, thanks to Rakett, you actually got the short track to university.
I have multiple passes. Yeah.
Right. But
so they do ask for the Olympiad.
Right, so this girl who's applying for Harvard, she actually had to dig up her Olympiad awards, and that was quite time-consuming. And this is what we've seen with our work as well. So it's every summer I need to write these sort of diplomas, PDFs for kids who actually want to present these at school, to prove their teachers that I've been participating in this program where I actually learned all these skills that I don't, for some sad reason, don't get from school. And then now we've added this layer to our Nova platform, which is, there are some examples as well. So currently Estonian content only and Russian as well on recent history and society topics like how was life in Soviet Union. So if you have passed this course, you get a certain amount of points and then you can earn the next level. But this will hopefully in the future apply for other topics as well. And we see the future in a manner that let's make life easier for all, students and teachers alike, and just bring in these study badges or whatever we call them, certificates or tokens. And we are also thinking of this, like the diplomas we created. So it took us a few, some minutes to create, and they are literally PDFs, and anyone can create them now. But in order to make them actually sort of plausible documents, we will build them together with cause tokens, so sort of apply this cause mechanism, which will make it more simple and legally binding and able to scale at some moment as well. And we sort of give away this pledge that we are giving stakes at our future profit, which might, as we all know here, might never happen, but at least we're willing to share it.
Let's not talk about nothing happens. Of course it happens. But I think that the main value for the young people here is that they would have actually one like joint portfolio for whatever they do. So like if you have an experience from the Rocket 69 science show, that can be, you know, there. If you have been volunteering somewhere, that can be there. If you have been participating in some extracurricular courses, that can be there. So whenever you need to dig up something like the projects of your life where you've learned something, you've learned new skills, you've gained new knowledge, that can be actionable in some next stage of your life, then this can be used. So it's not so that no one would ever have to again dig back somewhere in the historic records of Granny's attic where all the diplomas are kept, but that there would be a one unified system.
I actually had that issue quite recently. The first time ever I actually needed to present my master's degree at some place. And I assumed that we have this Estonian education, whatever, state platform.
Information system.
Yeah, we have so many. We have Õis, Tõis, Põis, whatever we have. So one of these platforms, and I assumed it would be there, and I go in and I discover it's not here. So I actually had to go back to my university and ask them to print it out for me and hand it over in 2 copies. And they said, make more copies because you might need them. Yeah. And I was amazed that this still happens. So, and for sort of lower level education system, which is again like, I really don't like the hierarchy here, sort of as if your dancing experience is somewhat less meaningful as compared to my master's degree.
I have a huge map of my childhood diplomas sitting in my home, and I've never let my parents hold any of my documents, so I have all my grades, grade reports and all of that in that map, and all the digital ones are stored in Drive. So yeah, I smoosh up CVs whenever I need them.
And then you scan them and send them?
Well, they usually don't require the paper ones, and the important ones I have digitalized a long time ago. So yeah. I have
that it still happened here in Estonia. We're sort of well-known e-government government state, but still these things happen.
Karolin, how do you keep track of all the accomplishments you've had?
Well, in my school, we have every year an obligatory project called Services Action. It's kind of like a community helping project where you have to do a certain amount of hours to help the community. And all the projects and workshops I have done then they all go under that. And then in the end of the school year, we have to do a presentation about all the things you did and then present them. But nothing actually really happens. It eventually just gets lost. And in reality, I don't have any place where I actually keep everything. So, and I just, over time, I just forget everything. Yeah.
Right, so I'm not
That's
being
what happens
shy
when
here.
too much happens in one's life.
I'm saying that you definitely need Nova, because then it will keep track of all of your achievements, as well as send your teacher notifications about your achievements as well, and just save both of your time. And also it will suggest you that, next time you might want to look at this course, because you haven't still passed this entrepreneurship course here.
Earlier today, I was listening into one of the seminars, which was with the S-Cube student satellite project, and was discussing about how they, like the students go towards their first job when there's no like previous experience. Like, what can you show then? Because then that's what comes along again. That you've only done school. Like like how do you stand out? So I was then already thinking about, well, Karolin, like when she will apply for the first job, it's not the first job. You will have done, 10, 20, 30 different jobs that you can show as a portfolio. And so have you, Grete. So I think it's really, really important and crucial that you are able to track these, so that you would be able to present these in the future. And also, I think, like, from both the organization side, but also for these young people, please look more into including them into your projects while they're already, like, where they're still underage, while they're still young innovators, because it's for all of you, when you are looking for future workforce, these will be the future talents that you want to have, that already have various experiences. So I'm really encouraging to establish also more these types of collaborations on Ede's platform, that you would be seeing organizations set up some sort of token certificates for projects that they've done with kids.
And another blast from the past, I was listening to Kristina Siimar's, I don't know if she's here, podcast. With Rainer Stenfeld, the Global Estonians, and she was saying that how they used to hire people at Swedbank back in the 1990s or early 2000s, and basically shining eyes and firm handshake were good enough, because simply you didn't have other references. But I'm sure both of you have more than enough references if you decide to apply for a job, unless you really will go on building your own companies, which is...
I think she will be hiring us one day.
Exactly. That's actually a good question. So what, if you had to hire us, what are the skills you will be looking for?
It really depends on what I need, what I'm looking for, but definitely good teamwork and someone who can communicate well, and the rest really depends on the other things that I'm looking for in the certain job.
For me, I value the enthusiasm about the idea or the problem we are trying to solve, and also the ability to learn. I believe these are the two most crucial things. Everything else are, almost all other things are they can be overcome, or there are some key talents who are suffering with different aspects of normal human lives, and we don't want to exclude them or anything. So yeah, just the motivation is the key.
I think this willingness to learn new things was also top of the list on CV Center, sort of ranking for what are companies looking for in a person they want to hire. And it wasn't university degree.
No, I think that's, yeah.
Okay.
But Ede, maybe you want to tell a bit about the, the roadmap towards this wonderful platform of tokens.
So we will be launching soon. So anyone who wants to, we actually want to present it as an open platform for any education initiative who wants to enforce this tokenization, make life easier for anybody who wants to. Lifelong learners is a good example, or we actually welcome schools as well. We already have some schools, some new state schools that will open next fall, that will be building their curriculum with us. So we welcome anybody who wants to join. I'm open to all talks after this this talk here, or maybe somebody wants to ask a question now. We have this app here doesn't show any questions, but maybe somebody's eager enough to ask a question now. This is your opportunity.
Are we getting a badge for this, being here?
That might be so cool, yeah. Would you want to receive a badge?
Yeah, yes, please. I need that validation.
Exactly. So for now, you can print it out and post it on your wall, but in the future, who knows, you might get some real rewards for that.
Cool.
So no questions from the audience? Everybody's being very Estonian.
But then I think we can wrap up for the day. Include kids and young people to your projects is one side, for your own benefit, for their benefit, and then let's get everyone like the live portfolio of their accomplishments so that, they can make action out of it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.